All right, it's your boy Mixmaster B here live from the MMB Radio studios for the MMB Radio Podcast, where no topic is too big or too small. And on the phone lines right now, I have Blake Wexler. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Doing awesome today. And you first things first, we have to mention that you are a comedian and that you are from the Philadelphia area.
Yes.
What's it like being a comedian every day?
It's good. It's the funnest thing that you can possibly do. It'll also destroy a lot of friendships because you're annoying just by nature of your job and trying to find everything funny. But, yeah, man, it's a blast. You're up late. You eat poorly, but other than that, it's a really good time.
Comedians, they kind of have, different personas. You kind of have like who you really are in real life, and then you have who you are on stage. And
right.
How closely are the two people?
It's almost identical, just because it just makes it easier. I guess is what I don't have it on stage. This is basically the same version of me everywhere. Where I don't know, all my favorite comics have a great point of view, and I feel like I try to do that too, and I feel like it's easiest when you're just like you said, when you're just yourself. So. Yeah, it's pretty similar, for better or worse.
Now, who did you grow up listening to, watching, comedy-wise, and saying, you know what, that's who I want to be, that's who I want to mimic, that's who I get my style from, if anyone?
Well, I grew up watching, so I started when I was real young. I first did stand-up when I was 15 or 16, and there's a place called Rascals in Cherry Hill. It was in, I think, the Marriott, I forget what route that is, but right over the bridge. And I was a big fan of Lewis Black, who, if you haven't seen him, he's a very angry political comic. So, I tried to emulate that when I was 16, and it just didn't make any sense. It's just why is this kid who's relatively well off angry? It just didn't, and I think it kind of confused
Who's this
people.
angry white guy?
Right, exactly. This kid literally has been dealt the best deck of cards. What could he possibly be angry about? But after I realized that wasn't really working. It was though now I'll go back and watch that tape and laugh my ass off because it's what is this? Not for the right reason.
He's being held down by the man.
Yeah, exactly, by my advanced placement history teacher.
Yeah.
And but then Todd Glass, who's also from Philly. Who I've been lucky enough to become friends with. I was a big fan of his, just silly, comedy, and then Bill Burr, I'm also a huge fan of. So those kinds of comics.
Now, you grew up and born and raised in Philadelphia. So what's for people that are not familiar with the Philly scene? What is comedy like in Philadelphia?
It's great. It's gotten even better after I left. Which is no coincidence. No, I'm kidding. It's really, really good, and I think it's one of the more underappreciated scenes in the country. There's New York and LA, those are the big ones, but then there's the second tier where a lot of people think Boston or Austin, Texas, or San Francisco, Chicago, but Philly should be right there. There's so many funny people there, and so many funny people who've been coming out of Philly recently, and Helium Comedy Club, where I'm doing my album. How about that? Slid that in there.
Nice. Nice little PR
is one of the best clubs in the country. So that's really, really elevated the scene where all the best touring headliners in the country go there. So the local guys can see so that's what I should strive to, and it just makes everyone better. So yeah, I think Philly's a really, really great scene. Everyone's really supportive. It's I'm really proud to have started out there.
Now, you mentioned the Helium Comedy Club, and
yes.
You're going to be doing a show there on March 9th, and you were going to be recording for the Blake album, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Kind of tell us what the Blake album is going to be about, or what can people give us a teaser? What are they going to see that night, and what can they expect?
Yeah, it's straight stand-up. So it's my first hour that I've ever recorded. So it's basically I haven't been doing it at the level that I've been doing it, but I started stand-up 10 years ago. So I have all this, material that I want to just, release and burn and, and then move on from it. And then, a lot of stuff that I've written in the past year or two. So I'm calling wanted the Blake album because it's like a play on words off Jay-Z's The Black Album, and but it's the Blake album because it's literally almost all like personal, stories from my life and stuff. So yeah, it's the first one, and I'm excited about that night. The guy who's opening is actually an incredible headliner. He's kind of doing me a favor. His name's Chip Chantry, and he's a local guy. And also, I think my parents are going to introduce me. I've written like a funny introduction for them, and it's going to be a really, really cool night. I'm excited about it. It should be a lot of fun.
Now, you mentioned your family. When you decided, I'm done school, I'm going to do comedy, how do you break that down to your family who are like looking at you like, oh, that's kind of cool? Like,
oh, you drug them. No, they couldn't have been more supportive, which is crazy. Like a lot of comics, they're just like, oh, my dad was like a booze hound, and my mom, she hated me and was horrible. I had great parents, and I started like they wanted to get me a hobby or something when I was younger, because they're just like, all right, this kid is not going to turn out okay if he just keeps eating microwavable pizzas and playing video games. So like they tried they wanted me to play like an instrument or like play golf or tennis or something, but I didn't. That didn't stick. But they signed me up for like this. I was always interested in stand up, and my mom signed me up for the stand up comedy class, which is like a thing apparently in Springfield, one of the many Springfields of Pennsylvania. And they were cool with it. Like, my mom drove me to shows and stuff when I was younger. Like, they were, like, shockingly cool. And now like, my dad will, like, send me an email. He's like, why aren't you hosting The Daily Show? So there will be, I'm like, well, there's a process to that. But so there'll be, like, things like that. But it's all supportive, and it all comes from a really good place. So they were cool with it. It was never like, hey, like, you need to be a lawyer and do stand-up. They were just like, all right, yeah, we trust you, do it. Try not to, get addicted to anything. And so far, so good.
So she signed you up for these comedy classes. Now, was your mother like one of these, like, Toddlers and Tiara type things? Was she, like, really, like, mean when you screwed up a joke or you didn't hit your punchline?
Oh, that's hilarious. For the story, I wish. But no, she was like, if anything, it was the opposite, where she made me think I was a lot better than I was, and that may have, like, stunted my growth as, like, a comedian. Like, she's like, Blake, talk about your penis more. That's brilliant, or whatever it is, like, more poop jokes. But no, she was awesome. Yeah, it was just like, I was her first kid, so, like, it was like a can do no wrong, sort of situation. So, I've never even thought about that, how funny it would be if she was just hovering over, like, if she just dressed me up in a little suit.
Yeah, like she's totally sewing outfits in her basement of your house, you know what I mean? Like, putting rhinestones and blinging out all these little, like, Liberace-type jackets for you to be out there.
Yeah.
It would be really cool if you went out there, like, in, like, some Elvis jumpsuit with, like, rhinestones and a big American eagle on the back, and was just like,
oh my God,
my mom.
That would be hilarious. Well, here's the thing. I probably would have gotten, like, on the news. Like, I would have been famous really quickly from that. Not for the right reasons, but, like, look at this weirdo and, like, his awful mother, like, dressing him up. And I would have merch, just without having written a joke yet, just sell fur hats with my name written in cursive on them. Yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity.
It was, man. You could have had a PayPal account set up.
I could have had a PayPal account.
And it could have been used for multiple different things. You could either buy merch or you could just, send money to hopefully free him. He's like El Chapo. He's trying to get away,
I know, exactly. Yeah, me trying to, like, cut school instead of it, like, escape from a maximum security prison somehow.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
So Philly gets knocked a lot for all kinds of stupid shit. I mean, throwing snowballs at Santa Claus and,
well, here, just to talk about that real quick, like that is a thing that makes me so angry, because I live out in LA now, and I'm a huge Philly sports fan, like diehard Philly sports fan. And people even out here are just like, they throw snowballs at Santa Claus. Like, Santa Claus lived through that, Like, people in LA stab each other. It's such, like, a garbage, and they're not even good sports fans. They don't even know who plays center field for them. Like, it's so unfair And yeah, like once every couple of years, a Phillies fan will intentionally vomit on a child. But like that's just,
it happens.
Statistically, it'll happen. Like there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of excitement.
Some get thrown up on.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, finish your question. I'm sorry. Exactly.
Be thrown up on. You know what I mean? Like you are going to go now in sports legend history as being a child that got thrown up on. I mean, you make Sports Center, so you know what? Suck it up and take it. You know.
Thank you. Exactly. But I interrupted.
We just had to put that out there.
Yeah, 100%. It drives me insane.
Well, you kind of answered on what the question I was going to go with is how, like, when you tell you you're from Philly, how often do you hear these type of bad criticisms of Philly? Do you take it in stride, and like how do you rep Philly?
Well, I rep Philly like almost too much. Like I kind of get like a lot of crap for like almost all of my clothes have some sort of like Philadelphia like insignia on them. Like it's funny. Like I woke up early this morning because the new Iversons came out, so like I bought those. Like it's just like a lot of I rep Philly a lot, and also like I don't know when people bring it up, like sometimes I'll get defensive, but I'm also realistic. Like Philly, it's not like our reputation came out of nowhere. Like there's been a few incidents, but overall, like it's better than whatever city they're from. Like what's every single city has like garbage elements to it. Like, and I think Philly's, like its history, like how diehard the sports fans are, the food, like the amount of incredible colleges that are there. Like there's so much more good things about Philly, in my opinion, than there is about any other city. So, I always I take it in stride, but sometimes just like it's the stupidity of it that like makes me mad, I guess. But yeah, I take it in stride. Like I love Philadelphia so much. Like that's why, like I come back as much as I can. And, yeah, man, I love it. I miss it. So yeah, I always rep and I always stick up for it when people talk out of turn.
Now, we're not shy with topics to talk about in Philadelphia. So
no.
Recently, they just had this whole thing with Shady McCoy, former Philadelphia Eagle, beating down some Philly cops. What's your feedback and feeling on that situation?
Don't do that.
First off, do not do that.
Yes. Let me say, do not do that. Shady, that guy is like, I used to think that was a cool nickname. I don't know if this is a hacky thing to say, but like, the guy is like the weirdest, shadiest guy. Like that party that he tried to throw, like earlier this year, where it was all like you could only there were no men,
women, and it was like invite only. It was like
you had to like submit a headshot and like sign like a non-disclosure agreement. And it's just like, dude, people are gonna find out about that. Like this isn't like like Rome, like you're not an emperor where you can just get away with these like horrifically bizarre things. So like. Yeah, I just really, I think that guy, I don't know, like, he's an incredible player, and I don't, like, he's from Harrisburg, like, I kind of wish he could have stayed with Philly, but, like, the guy's a really weird guy. So I think this is just the one that, and he threw a woman off a bus, I think, allegedly, like a few years ago.
Off a bus.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, the guy's going to get caught doing something at some point, and like this one just so happened to be that he attacked all the people.
He makes the People versus O.J. Simpson show on FX look like Barney's World because
right, exactly.
Like,
I haven't watched that yet.
And you have to see that if you have not
good?
seen it. It's really good. There's a lot of commercials, so they obviously they overspent on the talent. With they got Malcolm Jamal Warner, and they got
oh yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. He's in it, right?
And John Travolta's in it. Yeah. I'm like watching this the first night, and I'm like, holy shit, it's John Travolta. And he had like he had his hands in it because he's like one of the executive producers or something of it, and it's just like. I don't know. It's just funny watching some of these. And then, like, fucking Robert Kardashian is David Schwimmer.
Oh, my God. That's so funny. That guy will always be Ross, from that show. Like, he was in Band of Brothers, and I'm just like, I don't believe this. Why aren't you crying about, like, some relationship thing? You can't lead men.
I wait for, like, Miguel the Monkey to, like, jump in on this set, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely not going to make it. In this.
Oh, yes, different world.
Yeah,
right.
World.
OJ killed him. OJ killed his pet, allegedly. Yeah, it's so weird. I gotta watch that. I hear it's like that sort of thing. Like if you get Travolta like on television, you know, like you had to throw him an executive producer credit or something. It's just like, yeah, that guy. I hear he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
You see him like didn't he like kiss a woman's face like at an award show, or like pet her face or something? I don't know. That guy.
Yeah, it's a really creepy, like creep stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
It wasn't planned, and you know, and
No.
in most states that could almost be counted, you know, statutory. But I don't really know. You know,
they allowed it.
Yeah, they allowed it. But so you have this show, as we mentioned, March 9th coming up, and you kind of told us, you know, like what to expect and everything.
Right.
What topics do you usually like direct your jokes and your skits towards? Do you do a lot of the pop culture stuff and politics stuff?
Not so. I mean, like I do like some of the pop culture stuff like that I will talk about. Like there's a chunk of the album where I talk, you know, like I talk Game of Thrones and like the movie Creed and some other stuff. But a lot of it is like just stories that have happened, you know, like in my life, you know, like I mean, just as typical like dating and you know, like you know, stupid drinking stories and you know that sort of thing. But pop culture wise, I'm trying to do more of it now. Like I think that's kind of why like and I'll always tell like you know stories and like that sort of thing. But I think the next phase after I record this, I want to write more like observational, you know, still through my point of view, but like, you know, talk about, you know, like what we just talked, like more sports stuff. I want to talk about more, you know, like, which is actually hard to talk about because like not a lot of, like actually out here it's hard to, because I live in Los Angeles. So like out here it's tough because like no one cares about sports unless it's like Kobe, you know, who's from, you know, Lower Merion. So like, yeah it's just like, yeah, so most of it's like personal stories, you know, like, you know, doing stupid stuff, like funny things that have happened to me, you know, like talking about family. But yeah, that's most of it. But yeah, the next phase, the next album will be a lot more, you know, pop culture, that sort of thing, politics. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause being in LA, you must see a lot of weird stuff every day, just happening. Like, what's one of the most recent weird things that you witnessed while driving around in Los Angeles?
Well, there was a guy just peeing on the road, from the side of the road, which is that's not where you're supposed to do that. But like, yeah, this is a weird place because like it's so spread out and like. It's nice all the time, and there's people who you have to be kind of delusional to get into the. I mean, you have to be just straight up delusional to get in the entertainment business, and a lot of people don't have like a plan. You know, they just kind of come out here and just like, all right, I'm gonna make it. You know, whatever that means. So it causes a lot. You have a lot of delusional people who have a lot of free time, who will often like, you know, like. Use substances, you know, like you got a lot of weirdos out here. I'm trying to think of another weird one where like there was a guy I watch every Eagles game out here, and it's weird because it comes on at like 10 o'clock in the morning, so you start eating and drinking at that time, and it just screws up your entire Sunday.
That's all right because they do that here at that time, so it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's
They're
like
up
being
anyway.
home.
Yeah, exactly. It is a bizarre way to start your day with like coffee and like an IPA, you know, like it is like in each hand. But it's there was a guy who I was watching a game at like 10 a.m. at a bar, and like he wasn't there for the game, and he was on mushrooms, and he kept like walking up to people and like petting their necks, and I thought, I'm like, oh, maybe he's just friends with everyone here, and it's like, no, this, and then like I see him being carried out by security a few minutes later. I'm like, oh no, that's just a guy who like did mushrooms at 9:45 in the morning on a Sunday and wandered into a bar and petted everybody. So yeah, that was a weird one.
It was John Travolta, you know.
Exactly, it was Travolta. Oh my God,
it was Travolta.
That was Travolta.
Yeah.
He just walked in. I buried the lead there. But yeah, it's a lot of weird. I don't know. It's just a weird town. Like everyone's transplants too. Like no one's from. Like my girlfriend's from here. She's the only person I know who's from Los Angeles and like or who's normal. And from here. So yeah, it's really weird. It's a really weird place. But I do like living out here. Like it's nice all the time. You know, my career is out here. I have a lot of friends who are from Philly actually out here. We watch games together, and friends from stand-up and everything. So, yeah, it's a cool place to live, but there's a lot of weirdness.
Now, what's the most difficult thing about being a stand-up comic?
I would say being like not normal, but being a decent person. Like I think you mentioned it earlier about how like there's a lot of stand-ups who have different personas. You don't know what you're getting, but like it's a weird job because it starts at like 8 p.m. Where you work has alcohol in it, and it's a part of it. Like you're basically working in a bar, like if you like perform in a comedy club or any other room. So I think the weirdest part is the hours, and then the travel can get weird. Like I don't travel too much because like I'll work on like either a writing job or a producing job in LA. So that'll keep me here. But like I'll tour colleges and then go on the road every once in a while. But in general, the travel's really tough on people because it really it's just not a natural way of living. Like you eat late, like there's like you drink late, you can sleep into like any time, so like you can basically become nocturnal. So comedians are like bats in that way. But yeah, it's weird. So I think like keeping good habits and like being healthy, I think, is the hardest part of it.
Yeah, you have to kind of find a balance of like who you are and like who your stand-up routine is, and not get too confused. You don't want to be Tony Clifton out there. You know what I mean? Where it's like
exactly, yeah, exactly.
So, like friggin' delusional that you you don't know who you really are.
Yeah, you become another person, right?
Exactly. Because believe me, any way that the government can tax you, they'll find a way to tax both, Blake Wexler and Tony Clifton.
That's hilarious.
They'll get you both ways.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So, what are your long-term goals? I mean, do you plan on doing like television, film, or are you just kind of content with doing stand-up? Like, what do you want to do?
I mean, like long-term goals, like I always say, there's comedian John Mulaney, and I think he's like his career's one that like I've been trying to not mirror, but like it's kind of been like a guide for me because he and this is like so like inside baseball in detail, but like for instance, he did his first album when he was like 26, so like I'm a year behind from him, but like that's like kind of a benchmark with goals, and then like. He started writing for SNL, and he just had like a lot of cool writing jobs. Did his first hour on TV, and then he just had his own TV show that he was like it didn't. I think it got canceled, but he's way funnier than what happened with his show. But so that's kind of the thing where like I've gotten like some writing jobs, but not like it's stuff that like people will probably never see. But it would be cool to get that like the SNL job or whatever, and then like. Build from there. But this hour or the album that I'm doing, like I'm also going to videotape it. What am I, 70 years old? I'm going to put on a VHS. Yeah, I'm going to videotape it with a
His
CD
stand-up
radio.
routine will be available on 8-track.
Yeah, exactly. It's only on Laserdisc. So I'm selling a one-time only bundle offer. I will sell you a Laserdisc player along with my album.
That's why you need that PayPal account set up, man.
That's right. Well, now I have one. So yeah, we'll work that out. But no, it's so like I'm using that, and then I'll submit it to the Comedy Central, Netflix, whatever, just to try to get something on there. But that's the goal. That's like the immediate thing is, and I'm touring and doing colleges, I'm headlining more and, been, had some cool TV jobs out here. But the next thing, get a special, on TV and, hopefully, sell a show at some point.
Now, are you active on social media and all that stuff where people can kind of like interact with you?
Yes, it's Blake Wexler, one word on everything. So I love Twitter. I love Instagram's fun. I've just got into Snapchat, which is like not just for dicks. Like it's for it's really real. Snapchat's like my favorite thing in the world because it almost seems like no one's seeing it. Like I mean, people like obviously like follow me and look at it, but like there's a weird like feeling where just like, oh, this is like a fun little club that like. Twitter, like everyone sees Twitter, everyone can like retweet stuff, but like Snapchat almost seems like hey, like we're fun stuff over here, and like not a lot of people, relatively speaking, use it. So, yeah, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, just Blake Wexler on everything. BlakeWexler.com. I have that brand. I have that Blake Wexler brand.
Yeah, you definitely need that branding, and
yeah.
You have the website, and people can go on the website. Can they see videos of like some of your stand-up stuff for people who are not familiar with your work or not in the area where you're going to be performing and they kind of want to know more about you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, BlakeWexler.com. Yeah, it has videos, a bio. It's got like my calendar up there. So yeah, it's all on there. And then like my Twitter is really good with that stuff. Like if I have a new video, I always tweet it out. So, I have a podcast. That's so funny. That's how much I neglect my podcast is I forgot that I have one. And that's called Blake Wexler's Podcast. So, very creative. So that's all on the internet. I'm around the internet.
So definitely check him out, and he's going to be at the Helium Comedy Club March 9th, recording for the Blake album. You can get tickets at PhiladelphiaHelium.com. And we appreciate you taking some time to talk to us. It's really cool to see, Philly natives doing it real big. And we kind of have to help each other here because
it's true.
These other places aren't giving us any help. You know what I mean? They just want to keep bringing up Santa Claus and friggin' snowballs, and it's just like
enough.
Sadly, the guy who actually played Santa Claus that he actually passed away not too long ago.
Oh God! Well, rest in peace, and I'm sure he wasn't that mad about it.
Yeah, we give more people more fuel for the fire.
Exactly.
You killed him. He's got CET because of snowball pellets in him.
Right? They were tainted. There was poison in the snowballs.
Exactly. So anytime we can
stupid.
help another Philly native, and we hope to hear and see big things for you, and we want everybody to go out March 9th. Write it down. Put it in your tablet. Put it in your iPhone. I don't know, mark it on your MySpace calendar. However you got to remember it. Check him out, Blake. We really appreciate you talking to us, and much success to you.
Thanks, man. This was a blast. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye. Hey, everyone. This is Blake Wexler, and you're listening to Mix Master B on MMB Radio.